Yeah, what's good, family? I'm just doing this video to finish the discussion on the transatlantic slave trade. Yesterday afternoon, I went to work. You know what I mean? And I talked to some Nigerians, West Africans. And I asked them what do they teach them in Africa about the slave trade. As far as the history in our part of the world, the Western Hemisphere. In America, they teach us that slaves came from Africa, and that's the triangle. They teach us that that's our triangle. It started in Africa, came straight here. But over there, they teach it started in Africa, and it went to Portugal. Now, what's the significance of telling the whole race of people, telling the whole society that the first stop was America instead of the first stop being Portugal? There's something to that. So the more and more I read, the more and more information I gather, the more and more knowledge I attain. It seems like everybody was lied to, because skeletal remains prove that Negroid people were found in the Americas before 1400s. And that's science debunking the myth that the Native Americans weren't black. Societies like the Olmecs, the Mayans, and the Aztecs have very similar pottery, similar dances, similar instruments, similar animals, similar plants. From the just like places in Africa. Places in Africa have the same plants that are in America. Places in Africa have some of the same animals that are here in the Americas. Some of the people do some of the same things. We praise some of the same beings. We pray the same way. So it's easy to see how they can say everything came from Africa, because it's a lot of representation there. But just as easy they could say we all came from America and migrated there, because it's a lot of facts that point to people being here 10, 15,000 years ago. So we still at this point where we don't know where we come from, because we don't get the absolute truth from anybody. I still believe that the first couple of travelers, funded by the Spanish and the Portuguese and the Roman Catholic Church, the first couple of explorers were from old Moorish empires, because we know that the Moors took over the Rock of Gibraltar and went up into Spain and into Portugal, and they educated and they built and they taught. And after their decline, the Europeans got in their mind that if it's people like that there, it must be more people like that. So they followed the coast, came to a nice spot. They saw the resources that they wanted, and they pilfered. They befriended and they pilfered. Same thing with America. They came, they befriended, and they pilfered. From what I've gathered, it really looks like the transatlantic slave trade started in America. South America to be exact. South America, the Caribbean, that area to be exact. Not, actual Central and North America. But still, black people were all over. People of dark color were all over. Getting back to, from what I understand, the people of the Caribbean, the people of Central and Southern America, the people they were taken. They were taken and moved to Europe, and then from Europe, they were taken to Africa. It's a couple it's a couple literary works that mention slaves coming into Spain in 1515, 1517, 1518, 1520, 1521, and their surnames were Ali. It's two distinct mentions of slaves coming to Spain from the Americas with the last name or the surname Ali. And that throws another situation into this whole equation, because now you got literary works claiming that Moorish people were in the Americas at the time before Columbus or right when Columbus came. So either they came with him or they was already here and showed him how to get here. So it brings us to the fact that you might have different sets of people of color here. And that shows us how easy it might have been for the legal situation to occur, which made slavery accepted across the board. If you have so-called Native Americans here and they don't have established treaties by the 13 and the 1400s with European nations and Asian nations, then they're not really recognized across the board. They're in their own little situation, depending on their own situation. I'm not saying not trading with anybody, but not being legally binded to any other entity. But the Moorish Empire was legally bonded. They were an established nation. They had established books. They had an established hierarchy. They had literary works. They had religious texts that were established and recognized across the board. So if the Native Americans was already here, unestablished, unknown to the world, not unknown, but just unestablished legally, and the Moorish Empire was here somewhere in the Americas, and they were established, legally recognized by the world, then how did the transaction of the people being sold take place? Because it's documents that show the Roman Catholic Church giving the land away. It's documents that show the Pope giving the so-called New World, so-called Turtle Island, so-called North and South America. It's evidence that the Pope gave the lands away, signed it, issued it out to other countries, mainly Spain and Portugal. It's a rabbit hole, and it's funny that I say rabbit because today is Easter, but yeah, it's a rabbit hole, because the more information you gather, the more it doesn't make sense.